From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Kayode Okikiolu.
Well, tonight, federal government raises concerns over the activities of rail vandals in the country. Minister of Transport recommends manslaughter charge against culprits. A police foil attempted kidnap in Dandume local government area of Katsina State after bandits invaded Karijam village last night. Police vow not to allow any form of demonstration in Lagos as group insists on holding a rally in the country's commercial capital tomorrow. And after about 20 years of the war against terrorism in Afghanistan, the last US and NATO forces leave the country's Bagram air base. Plus business, sports, news from Abuja, and later international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, African Development Bank launches strategy for economic governance in Africa initiative aimed at eliminating revenue leakages.
On sports news tonight, Germany midfielder Toni Kroos retires from international football following his country's exit from the European Championships.
And from Abuja, the National Economic Council calls for submission of reports of the judicial panels set up to investigate last year's NSAS protests for assessment.
Railway vandals will have to face the wrath of the law as the federal government is recommending manslaughter charge for such persons. The Minister of Transportation, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, gave this recommendation today during the weekly ministerial media briefing at the State House, where he argued that stricter enforcement of the law on vandalism will stop frequent theft of railway sleepers and consequently loss of lives. The Transport Minister further announced that Nigeria and China have signed a contract to locally manufacture train coaches in 5 years. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Mezoke, reports.
Nigeria's transport infrastructure became central at this week's ministerial briefing at the State House. The Minister of Transport first urges the law to prevail on railway vandals as the federal government intensify efforts towards securing more railway facilities across the country.
It takes about 800 meters for a locomotive to stop. As it's running now, it's running with speed. The moment it wants to stop, the driver will apply brake here, and you take 800 meters to stop. So how will the driver know that you have removed, vandalized a track 800 meters away? He will not know until he gets to the track. So when he gets to the track, what happens? He applies brake, right? He needs 800 meters to stop. So once he gets to that track that has been vandalized, he will derail. Once he derails, what happens? Some people may die. And each coach takes 85 persons. So what happens? You would have killed, and sometimes there are about 14, 20 coaches. So imagine how many persons that could die as a result of that derailment, just because one selfish Nigerian is trying to steal tracks to make money. I think, like other countries, I'm not saying they should be killed because it's poverty. But I'm saying they should be charged for manslaughter because people could die.
Through the lens of Chinese technology, the Transport Minister assures that Nigeria will begin to assemble and then manufacture its own coaches.
They are building the factory, and I hope that by December we should be able to commission that factory. And I've told them they have to hurry because they've supplied us 15% of the wagons. They need to supply us 85. And that 85 will be assembled in Nigeria, in Kajola. They've also agreed in writing that after 5 years, they will start, instead of assembling, they will start producing. Then they will graduate from there to building a factory to produce locomotives and coaches.
He further disclosed that the Kaduna-Kano Railway is built to be flagged off in 2 weeks, while the Lekki Deep Sea Port will be completed before the end of the present administration. The security and economic impact of transport infrastructure is quite profound, and this is perhaps why the federal government is considering exploring the option of borrowing from European banks to finance some of these projects, to ultimately crystallize infrastructure development in the country. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Also, security matters. Police authorities in Katsina State have foiled a kidnap attempt at Karicham village in Mahota ward of Dandume local government area. In the process, 9 kidnapped victims were rescued as many bandits escaped with various degree of gunshot wounds. According to the spokesperson of the State Police Command, Gambo Issa, the bandits invaded the village on Thursday night, shooting sporadically with AK-47 rifles. He says they received information on the attack, and the police officer in charge of the Dandume division led a team of policemen to the area and blocked the exit route at Kadawan Maikomo village in Sabua local government area. The bandits passed through the route and fell into police ambush. Well, policing is not just about manpower. It's about tools, equipment, and strategic collaboration between police, the public, and government. Well, this is according to the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, who reiterated that security should be everyone's business. The IGP made this statement in Owerri, the Imo State capital, when he paid a courtesy visit on Governor Hope Uzodinma as part of his one-day working visit to the state. He commended the governor for his support to the police in returning peace to the state. Meanwhile, Governor Uzodinma is promising that his administration will continue to show the necessary support to security operatives in the state to safeguard the lives and property of Imo people. He appeals to the police hierarchy to ensure that the momentum of peace in the state is sustained.
It is policing is not all about manpower. It is about tools to use. It is about equipment. And it is about collaboration between the paid agents, that is those of us at this side, and also members of the public and government that will see security. Security is everybody's business. With the idea His Excellency has, we started strategizing how we can look into the issue. We launched the operation Restore Peace, and in collaboration with all the security agencies and the military, supported by the government and people of Imo State. I think the narrative has changed.
I wish you a successful outing. If there's any issue, let me know. I'm there behind you.
Police authorities in Lagos seem prepared to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order in parts of the state tomorrow. Police anti-riot trucks are already being deployed to strategic locations in the state ahead of a rally by a group. The police authorities in the state had cautioned residents against joining the rally. The State Police Commissioner, Hakeem Odumosu, yesterday urged Lagos residents not to participate in the protest, saying the state will not allow another breakdown of law and order.
I'm there behind you, and I shall support you, because you are doing it to assist. So Nigeria assist the state, and I'm just an arrowhead. You are my full soldiers. My wife is not here, my children are not here. So when the general is moving and he looks back, there's nobody behind that general. He's just taking a walk. He's not my commander. You are the commander, you are the troops. So, take note of that. So I wish you a successful outing. If there's any issue, let me know.
Into legal matters, the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed September the 20th for judgment in a suit by former Abia State Governor Orji Uzor seeking to stop his retrial in an alleged 7.1 billion naira fraud. The presiding judge, Justice Akpor, fixed a date after Senator KALU and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, adopted all processes filed for and against the suit.
The Federal High Court adopted the final processes in the suit filed by the Senate Minority Leader, Senator Obio KALU, challenging his retrial by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on alleged money laundering charges. Senator KALU, who was personally in court, argues that he stood trial for 12 years and was sentenced to 10 years, out of which he spent 5 months at the correctional center, insisting that a retrial will only amount to a double jeopardy. His counsel, Professor KALU, based his argument on Section 36, subsection 9 of the 1999 Constitution, which stipulates that no Nigerian shall be subjected to double jeopardy.
That is unfair. The weight of the federal government is too much to place on one man. 12 years, and then you start another journey, you don't know when it will end. Judicial journey is always long. Let nobody give you the impression that you can take somebody to court and in 1 minute you have sent him to jail. There are so many tenets of fair hearing that a person must receive before he ends up in jail.
Matter is a very straightforward one. For the first and third defendants, there was no order of any court, even the Supreme Court, directing a retrial. And that is what we are saying. Show us the order of court, and the prosecution had none. So without an order of court, the Constitution says in Section 36(9) that there cannot be a retrial. It's very, very clear, and that's where we stand.
But the EFCC, who had the chairman, Mr. Abdulrasheed Bawa, present within the court premises, opposed the application. The counsel to the EFCC, Rotimi Jacobs, argues that the Supreme Court ordered the retrial of the appellant, describing the suit as approbating and reprobating at the same time.
They rely on Section 36(9) of the Constitution. The Constitution says that if the court who try a person is not competent, then there will be no trial. The trial will be null, and then you cannot. You can retry that person in the lower court.
In a short ruling, the presiding judge, Justice Akpor, fixed September the 20th for judgment to determine if the trial of the federal lawmaker can proceed or not.
And staying with legal matters, but this time at the legislature, where the Ondo State House of Assembly has passed a bill to regulate security, rearing and grazing of livestock and establishment of ranches into law. The chairman of House Committee on Agriculture, Mr. Taufik Oladele, observed that the bill will prevent destruction of farm crops in the state. Mr. Oladele noted that the law will address clashes between herders and farmers, enhance the growth of livestock farming, prevent and manage the spread of diseases, and encourage modern techniques in animal husbandry. After a thorough debate on the bill, it was considered necessary for approval, and the Speaker, Right Honorable Bamidele Oleyalogun, ruled in favor of the bill after a voice vote. The lawmakers also passed 2 other bills into law, the Judicial Autonomy Bill as well as a Violence Against Persons Prohibition Bill. The Benue State Governor, Samuel Ortom, is challenging the federal government to also arrest members of armed Fulani groups for carrying out attacks on farming communities in parts of the country, as the country's food sufficiency policy is currently being threatened by the willful killings across the country. Governor Ortom made a call in Makurdi during the flag-off of the 2021 subsidized first fertilizer sale. Well, he says he has no problem with the arrest of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, but the fight against terrorism and other crimes will only be seen to be unbiased if armed herders who have been killing innocent citizens are also apprehended. He stated that President Muhammad Buhari also admitted recently that herdsmen occupying the forests and terrorizing the people are not Nigerians, and wondered why no effort has been made to bring them to justice.
If the federal government have demonstrated capacity and can arrest Nnamdi Kanu, they should also exhibit the same zeal and will and decision to arrest these Fulani herdsmen that are terrorizing our state and our country. Let that be done. These ones are living here with us, but if Nnamdi Kanu can be arrested from a foreign land, I believe that the federal government will exhibit the same way they will arrest Fulani herdsmen, especially RETRIAL, who have owned up to the killings in Benue State and have continued to terrorize our land.
In part two, after the break, Kenyan High Commissioner to Nigeria describes as false claim that the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, was arrested in Kenya before being extradited to Nigeria. Stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Federal government raises concerns over the activities of rail vandals in the country. The Minister of Transport recommends manslaughter charge against culprits. Police foil attempted kidnap in Dandume local government area of Katsina State after bandits invaded Karijan village last night. Police vow not to allow any form of demonstration in Lagos as group insists on holding a rally in the country's commercial capital tomorrow. And after about 20 years of the war against terrorism in Afghanistan, the last US and NATO forces leave the country's Bagram air base. The Kenyan High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Wilfred Machage, is denying the allegations that the self-acclaimed leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, was arrested in Kenya before he was extradited to Nigeria. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, the High Commissioner challenges anyone with evidence of Kanu's arrests in the country to come up with such, insisting that those who peddle such information want to fuel antagonistic feelings against Kenyans in Nigeria. The Kenyan envoy notes that the country has no intention whatsoever to interfere with the internal affairs of Nigeria.
I want to address this allegation by denying that Kenya was involved in the alleged arrest in Kenya and extradition to Nigeria of Mr. Kanu. To us, therefore, these allegations are fictional, imaginary, and deliberately concocted to fuel antagonistic feelings amongst certain sections of the Nigerian people against the Kenyan people. I want to challenge anyone with the facts relating to this alleged arrest in Kenya to present these facts. This will include when, how, and who was particularly involved in the alleged arrest. We have no intention of interfering with internal affairs of Nigeria, which includes arresting of our own citizens on matters of crime.
The Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Mrs. Amina Mohammed, is calling for the inclusion of youth and women in public offices for sustainable growth and development of the nation. Speaking during a meeting with the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, Adejoke Orilokwe Adefulire in Abuja, Mrs. Amina Mohammed explains that youths constitute majority of Nigeria's population and should be given much attention to in order to attain greater height.
The future of this country lies in the youth, and if we don't invest in them today, then we will certainly not have a future that is worth having. And so let's not just think of them as youth. They are the majority of this population. Of course, half of them are women, so let's remember that youth are not just men, they're also women. It's an intergenerational transition. Our generation must be able to hand over the baton, not to let it go, but to move behind so that we can support our younger people to do greater things. And the framing of the SDGs is something that everyone recognizes in their lives. There's nothing that you can disagree with in the 17 goals. They matter to everyone. The difference between the MDGs and the SDGs is that we're now talking about inclusive economies, economies that allow everyone to participate, from the local government, the state government, and the federal government. In other words, everyone has a place, and so therefore there's no reason why we should leave anyone behind in what we speak to. When we say that we are women first, we are of course mothers and daughters, but I want us to remember that women are also professionals and equal to the task of leadership and of doing programs like this that touch the lives of everyone.
The National Human Rights Commission is advocating the amendment of necessary legislation to provide for the treatment and rehabilitation of drug users, as well as the adoption of non-custodial measures for appropriate cases to avoid human rights violations. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Mr. Tony Ojukwu, says the availability and high consumption of drugs in some parts of Nigeria have exposed the young people who constitute a significant portion of the country's population to health challenges. According to him, illicit drug use is driven by certain social and economic vulnerabilities, and these circumstances continue to be at play even during arrests, detention, and trial of suspects. He also urged the legislature, the judiciary, and stakeholders in the criminal justice system to strengthen the use of non-custodial measures for drug users who come in conflict with the law, as this will respect the rights of suspects and help in decongesting correctional centers. And out to Rivers State, where Governor Nyesom Wike has commissioned a rehabilitation center in Akpor local government area of the state. According to Governor Wike, the edifice is birthed out of the need to ensure that no member of the society is neglected. The facility is designed to provide social and vocational rehabilitation in line with international best practices.
Catering for the less privileged is a huge challenge and is considered the responsibility of everyone in the society. The government is not exempted from this task, and this is what the Rivers State Governor is demonstrating with the commissioning of this edifice in Akpor local government area, which will serve as a rehabilitation center for the less privileged, drug addicts and youths in need of correction in the community. With a growing population of youths and the elderly in the community, it has become important to ensure that sustainable plans are made to cater for the needs of these category of citizens.
His Excellency intervened by approving the reconstruction and remodeling of the center in August 2020. The funds for the project were promptly released, and we are here today to witness the commissioning of a transformed functional center. In addition, His Excellency has facilitated the construction of the access road to this edifice.
His Excellency Nyesom Wike.
For Governor Nyesom Wike, the facility is part of the move to ensure an all-round project delivery in various sectors of the society to encourage growth and development.
For what I've seen here today, I'll give you a grant to make sure is run every. I'm not going to wait for a budget from my own office. We'll give you money. Keep here the way the standard is supposed to be. The standard is supposed to be. I don't want to hear there's no light. I don't want to hear there's no food. Oh, you made a memo to the governor. You did this to the governor. I don't hear.
The special guest then encourages political observers and participants to follow in the example of Governor Wike.
It has shown who you are. And I want to congratulate Rivers State people for not making any mistake by having you as the governor. To the glory of God.
For some other speakers at the event, projects like this one should be replicated in other local government areas of Rivers State.
The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu will on Monday host his colleagues from the southern region of the country to a meeting on the state of the nation. The meeting is a follow-up on the Asaba meeting hosted by the Delta State Governor, where the governors agreed on far-reaching conclusions on open grazing and matters on restructuring Nigeria. The state government told Channels Television that the deliberations will begin on Monday morning and the governors are set to agree on modalities and practical steps in moving the nation forward. The president has hosted the former Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Ato Haile Mariam Boshe, where he said the focus on agriculture by his government is paying off handsomely and Nigerians are not regretting it. The president told the former Prime Minister that there is a need to go back to the land as petroleum could no longer sustain the country, particularly with fluctuating prices. He adds that agriculture has helped to generate employment and the country has embraced technology, while some persons are even leaving their offices to go back to the land without regrets. The former Prime Minister, on his part, congratulated President Buhari for achievements Nigeria has attained under him, especially in agriculture, and for successfully managing the COVID-19 pandemic. He explains that he is in the country on the auspices of Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa. When the news at 10 returns, the National Economic Council calls for submission of reports of the judicial panels set up to investigate last year's NSAS protests for assessment. Join us again. Let's now cross over to our Abuja studio for more on the news at 10 with Malkwe Okun Yusuf. Good evening, Malkwe.
Hello, Kayode. It's good to see you. The National Economic Council is intensifying focus on the reports of the state judicial panels set up across the country after last year's NSAS protests. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, urged state, where the panels are still sitting, to send interim reports to council so as to measure the progress made so far. According to the Vice President, the reports are now being received ahead of a planned council meeting where presentations will be made on them, both for state, where the panels have concluded their work, and those that are still sitting. The National Economic Council also endorsed the 2022 to 2024 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper, which was presented to it at an emergency meeting of the Council. In Imo State, Governor Hope Uzodimma says his government will stop at nothing to ensure that a peaceful environment is guaranteed for businesses to thrive in his state without any fear of molestation and security threats. At the Hero Square in Owerri, the Imo State capital, during an interdenominational prayer and praise convention, Governor Uzodimma called on indigents of the state to show more support to his administration because of his genuine intention to deliver good governance to the people and set Imo on the right path.
Jesus started with that this destiny was locked in as they locked Jesus. We will not have development in our land if we continue in violence. Peter is like
with peace returning to Imo State after much turmoil that tested its security, the Christian Association of Nigeria Imo State Chapter is organizing this Imo Unity and Praise Convention to give thanks to God. The event, which is happening at the Hero Square in Owerri, the Imo State capital, has in attendance the Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma and his wife Chioma, the Deputy Governor Placid Njoku, the National President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Reverend Samson Ayokunle, the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Pilgrims Commission, Yakubu Pam, Prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Sam Uche, as well as other top Christian leaders in the country. There were exhortations and admonitions by the Christian leaders as well as the National President of CAN.
Jesus, my life is for your glory. My life is for your glory. Your glory.
Then prayers were offered for the governor and his family, the state and the nation at large.
You are a miracle governor, as I've said before, somewhere else, because you are not expected to be governor of the state in the scheme of things as the election was going and as election went. But miraculously, there was a change. And that change can only be caused by God.
Imo State, the entire Igbo land, I see you written to the destination God Almighty has planned for you and the history of Nigeria as a country. Very soon you will reach there, but without violence.
Coming to your presence.
The governor commends all religious leaders in the state for their commitment and prayers for the state during the dark period of insecurity.
The government of Imo State will stop at nothing in doing what human beings can do to ensure that the environment to go about our businesses in Imo State without fear of any humiliation and intimidation will put in place. All I pray and ask my brothers and sisters is to be sincere and honest, to support our crusade, because our crusade is that of restoration.
As Imo State moves on, a lot of action should be employed to back up the faith to ensure that the ugly incidents of the past are not repeated. Ejitope Gutei, Channels Television News.
On the business side of things, now one of Nigeria's leading pension fund administrators, Sigma Pensions Limited, has launched a new product for her Muslim customers called RSA Fund 6. According to the founder, Mr. Umar Modibo, the product is particularly unique because it allows pension account holders and retirees to have pension solutions that align with their beliefs and values. This is the first of its kind in the nation's pension industry.
After 25 years of being at the forefront of ICT integration and providing value-added technology solutions for organizations, Signal Alliance is celebrating its achievements. As the technology company marks its silver jubilee, it prides itself for being among the leading technology integrators for corporate organizations.
When we commenced operations in 1996 here in Lagos, there was little or no investment in the ICT industry in the country. It was still an early business. Our giant strides in the industry as one of the pioneers has helped to position our corporate brand as daring, future-thinking, resilient, innovative in a competitive and dynamic industry. We've invested in and continue to support startups, therefore contributing to the growth of the technology in Nigeria.
The company believes it is now better positioned for the future and is ready to begin a new phase with a new identity.
I'm pleased to announce to you that Signal Alliance is transitioning into a holding company made up of other subsidiaries such as Plaza, Signal Alliance Consulting, Southware, and a whole lot of affiliate companies that are out of Southware, which is our investment subsidiary.
But the 25-year-old journey has not been without challenges. Even as they say, they are now focused on dominating the technology space in Nigeria.
As Signal Alliance growing, one of the things we've noticed as challenges is that you can't grow within the space you have. 5 years ago, we came up with a program that we call DIG, and we call it Diversify, Innovate and Grow. And the reason is to expand the roots and expand our system in terms of what's going to happen in Nigeria. We know that the policies are not really that good for the tech industry. So one of the things we are doing is to look at all the areas of the industry.
We recognize that, look, in the technology space and technology in Nigeria, we have to play a leading role. And leading role not just in terms of providing business solutions, but also encouraging other organizations in this space to thrive. And that's why we have a holding company structure now that allows us to focus on our strengths, but also create an opportunity for us to identify opportunities, identify people who have that opportunity, identify organizations that can shape the future of technology and business support in Nigeria.
With its transition into a holding company, Signal Alliance Technology Holding, the company hopes to expand its portfolio of companies while driving innovation in the Nigerian tech industry.
Well, that's it from Abuja, but we do sincerely apologize for the mix-up there in that particular report. It's the end of the trading week, and Teniola Shobowale is standing by with business stories to tell you also how the markets fared.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Malware. The African Development Bank has launched its strategy for economic governance in Africa, which is aimed at fostering transparent and accountable governments and institutions. The strategy proposes bold reforms in managing public finances to eliminate revenue leakages, ensure an efficient, productive and transparent use of scarce resources, and secure inclusive, sustainable development. Described as a milestone, the AFDB says the strategy, which also proposes tougher anti-corruption measures in the public and private sectors, will be financed through a combination of the African Development Fund, the Nigeria Trust Fund, and other existing special funds at the AFDB. The Kano State government has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation and the gas aggregation company Nigeria Limited on gas utilization for the Ajaokuta Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline project. The Deputy Governor of Kano State, Nasiru Gawuna, who represented Governor Abdullahi Ganduje at the signing ceremony, says sensitization is important for Kano State to attract foreign and prospective investors. On his part, Managing Director of the gas aggregation company commended the Kano State government for providing an enabling environment and following through with the mandate of gas in Nigeria.
We will work with the state government through the AKK committee to ensure delivery of the priority economic projects which have been clearly identified. The Tamburawa Economic Zone, Chalawa 1 and 2, Bompai, all the priority projects. And it's not going to be perfect all the time, but we will work together, and where there are challenges, we'll surmount the challenges. So it's important to have the CEO Gas and Power here today, because this is an additional assurance that it's not just GSCN. GSCN is just clearing the way, but NMPC, which owns the majority of, at least over 70% of the gas assets in Nigeria, is strongly behind this initiative.
Our business people and investors, prospective investors, have to be sensitized very well on this program. And when we do that, we'll be able to boost, and I think before the decade of the gas that you're talking about, the CEO will be able to fill to capacity all that is needed to be taken advantage of this pipeline. And on this note, definitely we have to appreciate the government of the day under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari for doing this. We have to definitely look at it and see that all has been done to link economies, to link social activities with each other in the country.
One of Nigeria's leading pension fund administrator, Sigma Pensions Limited, has launched a new product for her Muslim customers called RSA Fund 6. According to the founder, the product is particularly unique because it allows pension account holders and retirees to be able to have pension solutions that aligns with their beliefs and values.
The top management team of one of Nigeria's leading pension fund administrators, Sigma Pensions Limited, have gathered here physically and virtually to launch a revolutionary product into Nigeria's pension market. It is a non-profit ethical fund for those who would want to lean towards an investment that aligns with their religious beliefs.
Fund 6 today joins our full range of other excellently managed, well-performing fund portfolios, which are available to our pension plan participants.
The company also wants Nigerian pension account holders who will like their pensions managed along the principles of non-interest to invest in this new venture.
This fund will provide a significant portion of our customers, and indeed to others with similar interests but yet to join the Sigma family, an opportunity to actualize their long outstanding moral and spiritual yearnings and aspirations of having their pension contributions invested in a professional yet ethical manner.
The first customer picks and signs his form of interest. The fund, which was conceived from the inception of the company 17 years ago, is taking off now following approval.
Fund 6 is ethical one, and it's like I said, it has a religious connotation that I don't want my money to be invested in interest-yielding products, and that is it. I believe it will give you the same or more or less the same return in the marketplace, because there are some instruments that are there which you can take both in the equities and in the fixed deposit space.
Fund 6, which is non-interest and ethical, there are many, thousands or millions of customers out there waiting for this thing. So now that it is launched, they are going to have a surge of customers.
The launch of the Sigma Pensions Non-Interest RSA Fund 6 marks another first by Sigma Pensions as they continue to blaze a trail in the Nigerian pension industry. Sigma urges more Nigerians to subscribe to the non-interest product.
With 23 gainers against 15 losers, the local equities market ends Friday's trading session with a return to winning ways as the all-share index climbs back to the 38,000 level. Ovie Bikomo tells us more.
The bond once again made a quick return to the NGX at the close of today's trading session, and this time it pushed the benchmark gauge of listed equities to a higher level within the new month. More than 164 billion naira is added to the equities capitalization, while the all-share index bounced back by 0.83% today after investors renewed bargain hunting activities for some high value as well as some mid-cap stocks on the local exchange. Let's zoom in on the sectoral performance chart. We can see that the major contributor to the market recovery were key components from the banking, industrial goods, as well as the oil and gas sector. And these counter the losses from their consumer goods and insurance sector counterparts. At the same time, the total volume of shares traded today was slightly higher than Thursday's turnover, but still within the 200 million units level. Meanwhile, the trio of Zenith, Axis Bank, and GT Holdings were the main contributors to the market's overall turnover in value terms. NASCON led 19 other gainers, while University Press is top on a list of 15 losers. That's it for the Stock Market Report. I'm Ovie Bikomo.
Thanks a lot, Ovie. Let's find out how other major global equities ended the day.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Well, thanks a lot, Tenny. After nearly 20 years, the United States military and NATO forces have left Afghanistan's Bagram Air Base. Well, let's join Simon Pusey for more on this and other international news on Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The last US and NATO forces have left Afghanistan's Bagram Air Base, the centre of the war against militants for some 20 years. Analysts say it could signal that the complete withdrawal of foreign forces from Afghanistan is imminent. President Joe Biden said US forces will be gone by the 11th of September, the anniversary of the attacks on America in 2001, which killed nearly 3,000 people. Kabul residents welcomed the withdrawal of American troops from their main military base, but the withdrawal from north of Kabul comes as the Taliban advances in many parts of Afghanistan. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also warned that Islamic State was also making gains in the region. The man who stabbed a Hong Kong police officer was a lone wolf attacker who had been politically radicalised. That's according to the city's security chief. The man, who has not been identified by authorities, then stabbed himself in the chest and later died of his injuries. The male officer suffered a punctured lung and has undergone surgery. The police chief said materials on his computer showed he was radicalised without providing further detail. Israeli aircraft have bombed a Hamas site in the Gaza Strip in response to incendiary balloons launched from the Palestinian enclave. There were no immediate reports of casualties from the Israeli strikes, which the military said targeted a weapons manufacturing site used by Hamas. Since the ceasefire ended, 11 days of Israel-Hamas fighting, Palestinians in Gaza have sporadically launched balloons laden with incendiary material across the border, causing fires that have burnt fields in Israel. Athletes have begun arriving for the Tokyo Olympics from countries including Australia, Ghana and Argentina. Tokyo area airports have been abuzz with activity, but the Olympics president, Saiko Hashimoto, has said that organisers have to be prepared for the option of no spectators in venues as the Japanese capital faces a fresh uptake in COVID-19 cases just 3 weeks before the opening of the Games. Zambia's first president, Kenneth Kaunda, has been laid to rest at a funeral where a 21-gun salute fired in his honour. A coffin draped in the Zambian flag was driven on a gun carriage into Lusaka's National Heroes Stadium. The country's founding father died last month at the age of 97. Leaders from across the continent have come to pay their last respects. Winnipeg police have arrested a man after a prominent statue of Queen Victoria was torn down by protesters in Canada. There were cheers as the statue at the legislature in Winnipeg was toppled. It came during demonstrations over the deaths of Indigenous children at residential schools. A smaller statue of Queen Elizabeth II was also upended nearby. Local media said police used a stun gun to arrest a man at the scene, but the protest was largely peaceful. An explosion at Romania's biggest crude oil refinery has left 3 people injured and 1 missing. Drone footage showed fire at the refinery in the aftermath of the blast. Firefighters were putting out the blaze, which is hoped will reduce the risk of further blasts. Footage taken by an eyewitness from a nearby beach in the coastal resort of Navodari showed black smoke rising from the area next to the refinery. Dramatic footage of a volcano in the Philippines spewing gas and ash has been released. Volcanologists have raised the alert status to level 3 from level 2 of the TAAL volcano south of the capital Manila. It means there is the danger of further eruptions. The video shows ash and smoke spewing from the volcano's crater. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
So much, Simon. Germany midfielder Toni Kroos has retired from international football following his country's exit from the European Championships. Kroos made his international debut in March 2010 and helped Germany to win the 2014 FIFA World Cup. The Real Madrid star departs the international stage with 106 appearances and 17 goals to his name. La Furia Roja of Spain have defeated 10-man Switzerland 3-1 on penalties after a 1-0 draw in St. Petersburg. In the European Championships, of course, Spain goalkeeper Unai Simon saved from Fabian Schär and Manuel Akanji in the shootout before Mikel Oyarzabal converted the winning kick after Ruben Vargas blazed over. The Squadra Azzurri of Italy also progressed to the semi-final stage after beating FIFA's most ranked team, Belgium, by 2-1 in Munich. Our defending champion Novak Djokovic has survived a rocky third set to defeat American qualifier Denis Kudla to reach the 4th round at Wimbledon for the 13th time. Djokovic triumphed over Kudla 6-4, 6-3, 7-6 to book a place in the 4th round of a Grand Slam for the 55th time. The Serbian cruised through the first 2 sets but then had to fight back from 1-2-4 down before he recorded a 75th win at the All England Club. The world number 1 will take on Christian Cagri of Chile for a place in the quarter-finals. Russian Andrei Rublev has booked a place in the second week of Wimbledon for the first time with a 6-3, 5-7, 6-4, 6-2 win over the Italian Fabio Fognini. Rublev needed almost 3 hours to get the better of Fognini and reached the 4th round at the All England Club. And that sports news is back to you, Kayode.
Well, thanks a lot, Aya, today. And the main news again. The federal government today raised concerns over the activities of rail vandals in the country. The Minister of Transportation recommended manslaughter charge against culprits. Now, that's the news at 10. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okikulu. Good night.